Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of May Night. This week, we are ranking and reviewing Trap, M. Night Shyamalan's 2024 film, which follows the story of a serial killer finding himself trapped by armed forces in a concert of young girls. How does he wriggle out of this situation whilst maintaining the facade of Superdad? As usual, we'll start with a spoiler-free 10 minutes, go into a segment each based on some change, and then we'll wrap up with a spoiler discussion, ranking it in 7 different areas and taking the average. To kick things off, though, we're going to start with the bog standard enjoyment score. Are you ready?
Yeah, who's going first?
I don't know, Freddie.
Hi, Dave, by the way.
Hi, Dave. Sorry, I just...
Probably Rachel as well. Hope you're doing well.
Who's going first?
I reckon it is you.
Okay, right. I've got my score.
You got it?
I think so.
You worked it out. It was a tough one, right?
Yeah. Well, let's go. Let's go. Okay, non-spoiler.
Non-spoiler for the
now.
next 10 minutes.
We'll let you know when spoilers start.
I've worked out how to talk about this film without spoiling, so we're good. All right.
Count me in.
3, 2, 1.
6.2.
6.0.
Ooh, very close.
All right, tell me why it was difficult for you to come to a score for this one.
Because it was typical M. Night, really cool idea. And it had Josh Hartnett, who I thought did a great job.
You like him?
But the execution, certainly story-wise, was one of the sloppiest things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Mate, what the fuck was that film? It was all over the place.
It was just so lazy.
Yeah, I mean, lazy, bizarre. I mean, okay, so I'll make some points. So This was a tough one to do. I have here, when I'm writing down my notes, I'm currently thinking of ranking it between a 4 and a 6. That's a big range.
Okay.
Between a 4 and a 6 for gut reaction. And I guess it was so odd because there was so much about it that wasn't good. Plot was all over the place.
Yep.
Full of holes. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, a lot of B-movie performances. I mean, B-movie dialogue for sure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much that the twists and turns were predictable. In some cases, maybe they were, but most of the time they weren't predictable. But they just left you saying consistently, "Oh, for goodness sake!"
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah.
Like something happening. Oh, for God's sake! Come on, seriously. So there were random things involved. Still, I'm going to make sure I veer away from spoiler territory here, but other things like that didn't drive the plot at all. Like you had like anti-Chekhov's guns. I can give you an example, which isn't a spoiler. Kid Cudi's character, who seemed to be there to purely play a gay diva stereotype.
Yeah.
And then they even like left weird red herrings around his character and other characters where you thought this will be important later on, and it had no bearing
didn't matter
whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, this is very minor, but I will say as a spoiler, like at one point he talks about his lactose intolerance. Now this won't spoil anything for you because it made no difference whatsoever. Like what did you think was the purpose for him and a couple of the other characters being in there?
So the lactose intolerance was just to make him look like a dick. But I didn't really, but it didn't really matter because there was no reason for him to be there.
Yeah, but
it just meant nothing.
But was he like? Is he M. Night's mate?
You know what? I mean, probably.
There's some nepotism in this, isn't there? To say the least, there is some nepotism in this film.
M. Night funded this film himself. You're aware of that?
I didn't know that.
So he's had a bit of a track record of funding his own films.
Right.
And I think that part of the reason why I didn't go even lower than 6 was because he has the gumption to fund this himself and then just do what he wants to do. He just goes, "That's a cool idea. I'm going to do it. And I don't really care what anyone else says." And that extends to the very interesting casting of Saleka, which is his daughter. She can sing.
Yeah.
But she can't act.
Oh, no.
And she didn't look right in the role. No. She didn't look like the first... I didn't know going in, and I saw her, and I was like, that actor doesn't look right in that role. Like, she doesn't look like a superstar.
Like, you mean like she looks like she was learning how to act on the job?
Yeah.
It was almost like a thin layer was over her of like, this is someone out of place.
Yeah.
And it's all performance related.
Yeah.
Songs, I've got to say, I
bangers.
like the songs. Pretty good.
It's worked as a feature-length
Yeah, he's
advertisement.
literally
for
shilled his daughter.
But I don't mind it because he's paid for it himself. He's an artist.
Which
and
is
he
fair
just
enough.
gets to do whatever the hell he wants because he's taking the risk. And I respect that. Yeah, he did a shit job of it.
Well, yes, he did in many ways.
Yeah.
But I can't say, and this is part of the reason why my score was relatively high. I can't say I found the film boring.
100%.
I cannot say that. For every inane moment,
Yeah.
I still found myself interested, and dare I say it, gripped
Yeah.
at certain points.
yeah,
For every for God's sake, I was still like, for God's sake, what's going to happen next?
Yeah. I hope the next one's better because I'm looking forward to it.
And I mean, for me, then it really actually tested my understanding of what our gut reaction score is.
Ooh.
And our gut reaction score is my enjoyment.
Yeah.
But it was so many things that were just like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Who? How?
Yeah. I mean,
Why
to
did
give
that
you a
happen?
bit of an idea of
Yeah.
why it is the way it is, because I absolutely agree and you're absolutely bang on. He has boasted that this was the fastest script that he's ever written. As if that's something to brag about.
He probably looked at it and thought, oh, there's got to be something positive coming out of this
I
script.
mean, the guy literally, like, he would create problems, which when I do a bit of writing here and there, I quite look forward to, like, that is the creativity. How do I solve these problems?
Yeah.
And he basically just went, nah, I'll just do whatever. Like, I don't really care. Coincidence.
Somewhat, but you also felt like it wasn't that he created problems. It's almost like he had solutions and made problems out of them. Like, rather than the other way around. You
Yeah.
felt like this could have been so much simpler in many ways, which we will go. I swear we're going to go into it properly.
Yeah.
We're going to really dive into it. But it just was, oh, okay, he's decided to do that. He's decided to do that. They've done that. Me and Rachel were like, what? What is going on?
Yeah.
What is happening at every single point in this? But yeah, I mean, I felt like I enjoyed it more than it was stupid.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Yeah.
But I still couldn't. So for me, 6.5 is a net good.
Yeah.
And I couldn't bring myself to go that high. Like, it had to max out. My range was 4 to 6 that I was
Yeah.
going to do. And I literally went up
Max.
a bound just based purely on
How fun
I-
it was.
I enjoyed this film.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
But it was so all over the place.
There were some real blunders, weren't there? There were some good parts. It was an incredibly fun premise, right?
Yep.
The cinematography was quite good. It was fine. Like, it looked quite nice. The dialogue might be the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean,
Yeah.
the way that I want to be careful about spoilers here, but the way that the characters shared information
Oh my God.
was so strange.
Odd, forced, bizarre. It was like B-movie.
It was like a children's movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It was literally like a children's movie, the way he did
It
it.
was so jarring sometimes.
Yeah.
It was like purposefully bad, like a
Yeah.
satire
Yeah.
of these films. And you were thinking, right, why am I enjoying this? Why am I enjoying what I'm seeing here? And I don't know.
It was just such a fun idea. Like,
Fun idea.
It's so dumb, but it's so
Quirky,
fun. It's
Dumb,
like-
yeah,
it-
dumb fun.
It's
Dumb fun all over your eyes.
and
That's what it was.
I gotta say, mate, I absolutely agree with every single thing that you said. 100%. I did somehow enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think that the conclusion that I came to with it was, and the reason I didn't go even lower was because of the whole, this guy's funded it himself. He's gone, I love my daughter to bits. I'm going to help her career.
Yeah.
And I've paid for it. So fuck you lot. That's what I want to do. I'm going to do it.
I pay for it. I'm going to come in it at some point as well.
Yeah,
It's got a
yeah.
cameo.
Why not? It's
Yeah.
my film.
Fair enough.
I've got a great idea. Yeah, I haven't figured out any of the details, any of the plot holes, and I'm going to make the movie anyway
Fair enough.
because I've paid for it.
Fuck you.
It's basically just a movie that just goes, fuck you, it's mine.
Yeah, and it wasn't just enjoyable for no reason. Like, I felt warmly towards the performances, even though some of them weren't that good. Like, I felt warmly towards Josh Hartnett's performance.
I really liked
sometimes
him.
I was like, is that very good? Maybe not. I thought that Ariel Donahue, the girl who plays Riley, was great.
I agree.
Really good. I thought, particularly with child acting performances, rivaling Christopher Mintz-Pass.
I was going to say, have we finally found one that you would say is a good child
Better than a
performance?
17-year-old. I thought she was really good.
I agree.
Saleka, how's it pronounced? Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Saleka.
Yeah.
So whilst her acting was whatever, let's not go into it.
Yeah.
I really liked quite a lot of her songs,
I liked her songs.
particularly the last one on the piano. Really liked that.
Yeah, I agree.
And then other than that, it was an absolute mess. Car crash.
Yeah.
Like
It is a car crash.
meandering, tumbling, fall into a vat of redundancy. But I quite enjoyed what was that. I wanted it. There were points where I was like, oh, it's going to end soon. And it didn't, and I was happy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that pretty much all the problems come from the writing for me. It was really the writing where it went. It fell at the first hurdle. It was the dialogue. It was the way that the characters find. The performances.
The plot as well. It's not just the writing is in the dialogue, but the writing is in the actual story.
Like writing the story and the dialogue, everything that
something
comes with writing that script beforehand was where the problems began. And I think that Josh Hartnett, I think that given what he had to work with, given the dialogue he had to work with, I really liked him in it. I thought he was very good with what he had to make. So I'm looking forward to a spoilers discussion, but are you ready for a what if?
I'm ready for a spoilers what if.
Whoa. Okay.
I'll go for it.
I'm worried because this is the only time that we haven't checked that we haven't got the exact same.
We won't.
Okay.
I know we won't.
All right. Okay. Well, the floor is yours.
Okay. Here is my segment on Trap. Jambo, this week we watched Trap, the latest in a long line of M. Night Shyamalan suspense thrillers. And to be honest, Jambo, my response to the film was similar to the response you'd expect from a door handle that had just been shown the Sistine Chapel. As you know, we usually try and come up with a change to each film that we review to either improve it or create a what-if scenario. But I'm not going to try and change anything about Trap because how could you? How can you change that which you don't comprehend? Instead, I want someone to help me understand this film, Jambo. Help me decipher the code that was Trap. Because maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's my problem. Maybe it really was just that dumb, but maybe it wasn't. For this section, we're just going to go through every issue of the plot.
We've got the same bloody what if.
You've done the same thing.
Almost. We're pretty much at the exact same point.
Well, that's fine because I've got 25 points.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm pretty confident that it'll take us a while anyway.
All right. Well, you've got 10 minutes. We'll see what's left
We'll
after.
see what happens after. I think this will take longer than 10, so if it ends up overrunning, there you go. So, how does that sound, Jambo?
I'm excited, mate.
All right, here we go. So, overarching plan
Yes.
for the FBI, stop and search all 3,000 men in the arena.
Without a warrant.
How do you think they would have...
Well, everybody would just say no comment, right?
How possibly could they have, to the level needed to identify this person, successfully interviewed every single person? What was the plan there?
No, they didn't have one. They had 8 descriptions of the person's appearance, which were very, very nicely spaced across everybody.
Across every ethnicity in the world.
Every age group, every gender. No, that was...
No, it was a man.
Then the plot would get ridiculous.
They needed to round it down to 3,000.
Yeah, so they didn't have one. I guess they had the wrist thing. That was something that they... So,
but only if it was a white male.
So the one of the character descriptions was that they had a tattoo of a small animal on the inside of their wrist, which, to be fair, probably quite an uncommon tattoo for a middle-aged man to have.
Yeah.
But that was one of about 8 descriptions, and it felt a lot like M. Night just kind of went like,
Oh, let's put this in.
oh.
I will say this. This was higher up on the list for me. I've not ordered this list.
Okay.
Generally, it's kind of sequentially things that we had an issue with.
Yeah.
Me and Rachel walked back from this film and we're going, and what about that
Yeah,
thing?
yeah,
What about that?
This is
Does that
how I
make
pictured
sense?
today's episode going.
So this one was a big issue for me. Like, how did they expect to adequately interrogate, quote unquote, 3,000 different people? I mean, what they were doing was just cherry picking people, and by the sounds of it, going through their criminal history to see if they were the right person. But the bunny tattoo, well, it wasn't a bunny, was it? They said it might be, but it was a
Cow or something.
fucking badger or something. That was there. So I've given them the benefit of the doubt, and it's marked down. Well done, M.
If that was the only one,
You've
if that was
justified
the
that.
only one, fine.
Okay, so that's their plan.
Right.
Step 2.
Don't go 2 minutes.
Step 2. Let's tell every staff member in the whole arena this plan. Why would they do that? What purpose did that solve?
I know. I don't know what the... Yeah, sorry.
What was the reason? Then, all right, we're going to tell everyone. You're all going to know.
Yeah.
We're going to keep this contained to just the hundreds of
Just the
staff members.
250 people working.
Yeah, okay. Part 3. You guys have good family values.
Yeah.
This whole sequence with the vendor
Yeah.
is part 3 and part 4 here. Why did he think that we as an audience would accept that this vendor of the shirt stand would go through and tell him the whole plan of the police?
Not just the plan. He gave him his pass code. Like, there is a code to say to the armed officers, if you are a member of the staff, actually, so that no one can impersonate them. They go, you have to say the word Hamilton.
Yeah.
So what does Jamie... This is the name of the guy, Jamie. What does he do? He tells people what his fucking code
tells
is.
him the code that even known by the FBI. Hamilton. And then he goes through the whole... He explains the whole reason for the trap.
Everything.
Immediately.
Everything.
Someone just said, what's up with that? Let me tell you.
If you wanted a masterclass in exposition in a few sentences, if you wanted to just lay out the whole plot, just take that guy's script. Can I just quickly plug my what if?
Go on.
All right. It's called Trap, but Jamie doesn't fuck everything up.
There you go.
Like, if he wasn't there, if he didn't tell him the whole plan.
That was my issue with the what if this time, was there were so many points where you could have just said, well, then it wouldn't have happened, would it? Change that. There you go. Doesn't happen.
The sheer utter coincidence of everything that happens in this movie is absolutely beyond comprehension. It is bananas.
Yeah.
It is the fastest written script by M. Night Shyamalan, and we can see that.
Yeah. It really is like a toddler? No. Someone who is in the 8 to 10-year-old range, a boy, has found out how you make a movie.
Yeah.
You make a movie by someone has a story.
Yeah.
And now you, Timmy, can make that story.
He's found out about conflict.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
We're going to have a trap in an arena with the FBI and everyone's going to be in on it apart from the killer. The killer's the main character. And then the killer's got to get around the FBI, but there's an old British woman in the way who's the FBI informant. So, look, a lot was problematic, all right? There are some minor things like the SWAT team having their pep talks in the staff room.
Yeah.
With no staff in there.
And like, can I just point out, for armed personnel, right, trained in this situation, their spatial awareness was fucking atrocious.
All the time.
None of them knew that there was a 6'4" guy just stood there watching.
Just a guy who just like...
Not in staff uniform. Just
that was
stood
another minor yet annoying gripe.
fucking watching them have this brief.
Chuckling when they mention the people who've been murdered.
Trying to get caught.
So, yeah. All right, this is a big problem, right? So, one coming up now is 2 points. I've bundled them into one because it really does seem like, okay, we are privy to the information that is going through from the key FBI profiler. So this old British lady who I've checked is actually British, but it sounds not. She sounds like someone doing a British accent.
Just like all the dialogue are real people, but they don't sound like real people.
Yeah, it feels like they're from a dream.
But somebody said in a review, and you don't play a lot of video games, but the way that they talk
I thought the exact same thing.
like NPCs
I
in
didn't
games.
write it down, but I forgot about that point I made.
Like exactly like when you find a character in a game who's going to give you the information.
You've got good family values.
Yeah. And so for the next part of this game,
you turn left. Turn left and say Hamilton. They might let you through. It was like every single point was someone had taken an excerpt from a video game and just poked it in. Yeah. And then our character was just wandering around the arena.
It was so strange.
Okay, so we find out that the profiler knows that he's going to try and trip the alarm or he's going to cause a scene.
Sure.
And that's going to be bad because we know he's going to do that, so we're prepared. So if he does that, we'll just stop everyone, or we'll stop all the men.
Yeah.
So
if a
it wouldn't
fire
make a
goes
difference
off,
because they're going to do that anyway. But if there is actually a legitimate fire, none of the men
all the men
are allowed
dead.
to leave. So those are the very specific anomaly events that they have to look out for.
Yeah.
But what they can't look out for is a woman falling down the stairs or a deep fat fryer exploding and causing horrendous burn marks. Both of which would surely have been suspicious enough for them to just look on the CCTV and go, oh, it's probably that guy.
Who's that gigantic man who's just walked into a... Right, this is what I was thinking, right? This gigantic fucking guy has walked in behind this row of, like, Burger King tills. Right, no. He's walked in, right, picked up bottles of fat, put them in a fryer and turned on 100 and then walked off.
And stolen an apron.
And then it blows up and nobody fucking says anything.
What was the purpose of doing that? Just to steal the apron, by the way? Did he... Probably could have just stolen the apron.
It would have been a lot easier.
He just disfigure that woman.
Like, how did he... You would have had to go and collect the bottles and then go to the fryer and then turn it up and then leave without any of the, like, 200 people queuing up watching.
And then he does that so that he can get that apron. And then he decides to go on the roof. And the cops, yes, they do find it a bit strange, but surely they'd find it more strange that a man who has clearly just put an apron over his going out clothes is now on the roof.
Yeah. I mean, amongst everything, that's one of the more forgivable ones. But, like, I felt like he really tried really hard on that one.
Yeah. He put in loads of effort in order to get that apron.
He happened to find a wallet with an Asian man's ID in it, which thankfully they didn't know.
That was good, wasn't it? That was good. Okay, I've got a good one here.
Yeah.
I've almost like on Cinema Sins where they reverse a sin for something good. The leukemia lie was great.
But what was the setup for that? Remind me why he tells this lie, Fred.
Okay. So it seems like you have more of an...
He needs to go backstage.
Yeah.
Right. So what do I do? Okay, I'll go for a walk. Okay, fine. And then literally, immediately after starting the walk, strikes up a conversation with a random member of staff who just happens to be the fucking
singer's
production manager and the singer's uncle who has yet to decide on the girl and just strikes up conversation with this guy.
And just
like
says,
the utter luck.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
Like, yeah, okay, the leukemia story.
That was good.
It was kind of, look, he did a lot, like, when it suited him, when luck didn't require it, although luck often set it up, he did some pretty cool stuff. Like the fat explosion thing was pretty wild. Like I was enjoying
so
it.
Unnecessary.
It was so, it was crazy.
And
and same goes for the leukemia thing, but god damn, like, he just happens to start a conversation with the guy who can make that decision. Like, really?
Yeah, but it was an opportunity for M. Night Shyamalan to quite clearly say how talented his daughter was.
Yeah.
Like, M. Night Shyamalan is the person there who is also the, manager / uncle of Lady Raven, Lady Raven is actually M. Night Shyamalan's daughter in real life. And so M. Night Shyamalan can, with a dry wink and a nod to the camera, go, she's actually really talented. Like, he just clearly put that in there.
I'm going to forgive all of that Nepo
He made
behavior
himself
because
do what
he made
wants.
himself, and you know what? He clearly adores his daughter, M. Night. Like, he clearly adores
fair
her.
enough.
So
He
fine.
does. All right,
fine.
so does that. Gets backstage. They throw a few bizarre red herrings like Kid Cudi's
Cudi,
lactose intolerance, which makes no difference.
Yeah.
And also when he helps that girl who almost faints.
Yeah.
No point in that, but all right, whatever.
The British woman was nearby, and she might suspect him
Right,
for being a man.
Which, to be fair, would have been a good move. so does that. And then, I mean, it's tough to pick a winner here. Maybe at the end we try and decide what was the most interesting decision. But I've got to say, this is a rival for top spot. His decision to tell Lady Raven that he was the butcher,
Yeah.
rather than just take a chance with the last line of cops. He's shown himself to be very adequate at lying to the police, just manipulating situations. Instead, you're going to reveal yourself to someone who you've literally heard talking to the... Not, bizarrely, Lady Raven has obviously... She's almost like second in command to this whole operation. They've told her everything. He can conveniently hear her talking to the profiler in a room over there. Surely he has more measures. I know M. Night obviously wanted to kick on the plot a bit at this point.
Yeah.
But that was mad. Like, you are done then. You are done.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
Like, not only has she seen your face,
Yeah.
of the 3,000 men in, you're the only stupendously attractive 6'4" man who everyone's seen knocking people over and chucking
boiling fat around and
oil.
pushing drunk people downstairs like the least subtle man in history. It's like, oh no,
Oh, stunning.
There must
Ask
be-
Kid Cudi. So, not only that, but say they lost all the footage, say everything.
Yeah.
They lost all CCTV. They wasn't working. They didn't think anything else was suspicious about him. His daughter was on stage with her. That's not, who was that? Where does he go from there? What I want to ask you, all right?
Yeah.
So he uses that to get out with her.
She knows his
In
face
his head,
now. Yeah.
in his head, what is best case scenario?
Well, okay. The real crux is that she knows his face now, right?
Knows his face,
Yeah.
and even if it was just
There's no getting out of that.
she knows his face, but also she's like, they can find video footage of his daughter,
Yeah.
who they could just ask anyone, whose daughter is this, and all of those kids who aren't a fan of her would be like, oh, that's blah blah. I mean, what is it? And, like, in my head, I wrote down, so best case was that he goes home and immediately takes the wife and kids and
Goes on the run.
Goes on the run.
Yeah.
And I guess convinces them that he's not the butcher, but it's just some other reason.
Even though there's like...
Even though his wife, spoiler alert for later, is pretty confident he's the butcher.
And now there's a
And we'll get to that.
There's
don't
a
you?
famous person, right, who knows exactly what he looks like.
But this is, I'm saying best case, what he wanted to do, right, was he
Yeah.
wanted them to drop him at his car, which would have basically been drop him at his car and then don't say anything for a bit whilst we drive home and go.
And he didn't even ask her to drive him at the car.
He just said, drop me near, we're near.
Drop me here
We'll walk.
whilst I walk for like 5 minutes.
There's no way they'll catch me.
It's like about 1 trillion armed forces round.
So, all right, whatever. That's a big one.
Yeah, it's quite a bad one.
Then we've got Raven.
Okay.
Raven deciding to go to the house.
Mm-hmm.
What possessed it? It would have been way safer
Yeah.
to just let him go and then call the FBI.
Yeah. And be like,
Like,
this
It's
exact
that guy.
vehicle.
This is the exact person who it is.
Yeah.
It was the father of the person who got on stage. What it takes the FBI. They've got CCTV footage of all of it. They will have had the backstage. They can see the person who comes out. It takes them an hour to at least an hour to see who it is.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, it's this guy, he lives here.
Yeah.
Then they're after him. Instead, Raven decides, I'll go to the house so that I know where the house is.
Yeah.
To save Spencer?
To meet the family and like, yeah. I mean, it's like you say, like, she could literally just go through the CCTV of the day and be like, I know his face. You see that guy pushing a woman down the stairs?
Yeah.
That actually happens to be
Let's
him.
not forget, the super profiler, old British McGee,
Yeah.
is smart enough to know that this guy has mummy issues.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to need her to point out his fucking letterbox.
Yeah.
She's done enough, right?
She could definitely have just left them to it.
What the fuck is she playing at? Like, it's purely because M. Night wanted his daughter to be heroic in the scene.
Yeah. We're looking for in-universe reasons. There is the reasons why are very, very clear.
Also, when you get there and you decide, I'm coming in, tell your driver to call the police, you turn it. Don't wait about and say, wait until I call you to call the police right now.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
And what is Cooper doing at this point? Like, seriously, surely he should know the gig is up and now I got to get out of it. Why is he keeping up this pretense in front of the family?
She knows where he lives. So, like, it's over unless he just leaves. He needs to just get out of there.
Get out.
She knows where he lives. She knows what he looks like.
Knows
she knows
everything.
his family.
He's waiting to try and kidnap / murder this pop star. But he didn't plan to do that until she came in. And then specifically...
And it wasn't even after she came in, right?
It was after she was like, I'm going to steal your phone.
I'm going to out-wrestle this gigantic fucking man.
I just want to stress to everyone, this huge lumbering ape of a man.
He is fucking massive.
He's a monument.
And he's so sneaky.
He's a sneaky bear.
A sneaky, handsome fucking bear.
So handsome and sneaky.
Somehow nobody notices this gorgeous giant man. Just blowing up fat fries.
Sneaky bear.
Pushing women downstairs.
He's sneaky
Notice
bear.
that bloke, that fucking
God,
massive guy.
this massive, gorgeous man. So, all right. Another, I guess. Look, this is
We'll forgive
a
up
bit
to
of an
this
issue. No, we won't. But the next thing is all right. I don't mind it, even though some people would. That she saved Spencer by doing a live stream, and then they 4chan detective it to find her. You know what?
Fine.
That's fine.
That's
all
not
right,
too bad.
no issue with that. Then finally, the FBI arrives.
Wait. Actually, no. Let me put a pause.
Go on,
there.
another one. Go
because this is a firefighter who can't kick down a basic internal door
Oh,
for about 5 straight minutes.
yeah.
Like a firefighter.
All right. Why?
Of all the people who could knock down a door, you would pick a firefighter.
He's not just a sneaky
It's
bear.
his job.
He's a strong bear as well.
He's a 6'4" gigantic bear firefighter.
Strapping bear man.
And he can't knock his own...
Can't knock a door down.
Like not like in an external door. Not like a big thing. Like
No.
a basic
Bathroom
door
Yeah.
that you could basically just fall on at his size
Unless
and it
he
would open.
sneakily fortified the house.
Yeah. Which I feel like maybe they'd want to mention.
Yeah, maybe.
Although he did... I'll let you proceed because he did do
Something
some
coming up.
preparations.
That segues magnificently into my next point. So, FBI has arrived.
Yeah.
Finally, they've got the FBI here.
Very sneakily walking
Sneakily,
around
the
house.
FBI all sneaky, sneaky to catch a bear. Sneaky, catchy big monkey.
Whilst he uses up precious seconds to make himself a drink or some shit.
Yeah. All right, fanning about, whatever. FBI has arrived. But you're telling me that... All right, one sec. He arrived, he goes through a tunnel. I'm actually all right with the tunnel. I'm fine with the sneaky tunnel that gets him out onto the neighbour's yard.
Yeah.
Whatever. But then, correct me if I'm wrong here, he manages to find SWAT gear. Was that SWAT gear there already?
Ooh. So he gets out. He goes out through the tunnel, and then we don't see him. What happens?
He convinces the driver of Lady Raven to call it. Oh,
Yeah.
You're done here, mate. Good job. go home. I'll take it from here.
Without a vehicle.
He's in SWAT uniform. This is why he has SWAT gear.
Does he?
He snuck around the wall.
Where the hell did he get that?
He probably sneaky bear attacked someone from behind and stripped him.
Quickly got changed. Another gigantic SWAT man.
He's like, wow, doesn't see that humongous SWAT bear.
Well, he's been perfectly.
So he then just drives off with them. They haven't even discerned that they have a hold of him. They know he's in a house.
Yeah.
No one's got proper eyes on him at this point.
No one notices him climbing out of the ground.
But no one
20 feet to the
no
left.
No one minds that Raven's just going now.
Well, no, they did try and do that because the very British woman said, send the non-personnel home.
But surely, okay, so they've given a caveat as to why they did that. Surely they'd be locking down the area until they knew for a fact they had him. Not just
sending vehicles away.
Not just letting randomers drive off with the eyewitness. That's not... look,
with no protection. No protection whatsoever for this witness.
All my understanding of the police system through films and TV.
Yeah.
But surely you can't just let people who've seen the culprit, the perpetrator, drive off immediately.
Whilst, in the moment, whilst you are still...
And if they turn around, they'll be like, why is there a driver there?
On the... He's just fucking stood there with his hands behind his back. Having a smoke.
Naked.
Just in case he needed that uniform.
All right, so... Randomers drive off with the eyewitness.
It doesn't end here.
No,
it just keeps
We've got
fucking happening.
6 more points. All right, so then they're stopped. He kidnaps her. He, who could have seen that it was him?
Yeah.
Picked her up.
The gigantic man.
Can't fit in the car. And so they get stopped by fans in the limo, and he again does the old Uno reverse card. Puts the SWAT gear on something.
That was the worst. That was probably my favourite one. What? That was fucking brilliant.
Finds a sneaky tunnel out of the car.
When I was thinking oh my God, are they going to do another one? I joked to myself in my head. I was like, oh, it'd be so funny if they did another one, eh? And then they shoot the guy in the driver's seat. And then open it, and he's put a helmet where his head was, and a SWAT vest and then he's presumably got out the door naked.
And he's shot.
This gigantic man has got out of the door naked and fucking walked off.
He's lumbering Adonis.
Head and shoulders, nude above the crowd.
This nude man, everyone else's heads only come up to his waist. This nude giant.
Somehow he's pulled off, propping up the helmet in so well that nobody can tell that there's not a real person.
By the way, this limo was literally jammed with people all the way around it.
They tried to justify it by saying, he must have escaped when the crowds
when
were...
the crowd dissipated.
But that, do we even need to go into why that is ridiculous? That is absolutely... He's giant. He's so big. And now he's naked.
Obviously.
And now he's getting out of the very car that the SWAT are surrounding.
We are joking about the nakedness because if you remember... He had the Lady Raven paraphernalia.
Yeah, okay.
So we found that in the side because they showed him looking.
Right.
Before anyone comments and said, that's a ridiculous thing to point out.
Yeah.
He wasn't naked.
Yeah. He had which obviously you wouldn't notice if there was a gigantic man in a small women's Lady Raven team meant for his 10-year-old daughter.
All right.
How the hell does he get any of these clothes on? The amount of times he changed clothes.
How does he do it so quickly?
How does he do it so quickly? And how does he find clothes that fit him?
He finds clothes. At a moment's notice, he finds clothes. He finds aprons.
He gets into a booth, spins around, and comes out fucking dressed differently.
Beautifully. He's so handsome.
It fits really well on him.
Forgive him because his eyes.
Oh my God.
So finally then, we move on to the confrontation with the wife.
Okay.
And it turns out she set him up.
I really liked that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought it was cool.
You said you may know a bit about M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
He's known for these twists.
Yeah, I didn't feel like it was a corny twist. I felt like it was sufficiently, I feel like the movie was so ridiculous that twist felt quite reasonable.
I can't say I had an issue with her knowing, but the way she went about it.
Pretty funny.
So she suspects he's the butcher, and her plan is to leave a ticket stub for a concert at his secret hideout.
Yep.
Why not just tell the police?
Yeah.
How many variables? I mean, we've discussed all of the variables.
Yep.
How many do they have in play? Why not do something that is at least a bit more...
Well, it gets worse because not only was there a better option, but I feel like we need to stress just how bad this option was, because she suspects that he is a vicious, violent, brutal murderer and happily sends her daughter into a trap with him where he's clearly going to be panicking.
Yeah.
Where he's clearly going to be making very, very difficult decisions. She's asking for the kid to get her.
And even with that as well, so that's her perspective. Why did the police take that seriously?
Yeah.
Why did they say there's a ticket stub for a concert? We're going to lock this shit down.
Yeah. We're going to send 300,000 fucking
people
armed
in
guards.
danger. We're going to send all these people. We're going to send these armed guards. We're going to tell all of the staff.
Yeah.
But everyone else in there is at danger from this murdering lunatic.
Yeah. Who is now under pressure.
Clearly under pressure.
Yeah. So he's going to be making some hard decisions around children.
He could have just bought it for someone.
It could have been a setup.
Why would they think he's definitely going to be here? We're going to send out the whole nation's SWAT team so that we can go around
so many people.
To presume that the FBI would decide to turn the whole concert into an organised quote-unquote trap with thousands of civilians put at risk based on a ticket stub.
With no understanding of what he looks like.
Ticket stub.
They don't know what he looks like.
It doesn't have bare hair on it. It's just a ticket stub.
It doesn't have a giant footprint on it.
He might not even be there anyway. Based on the rigorous profiling that they've done, he's almost certainly not the target demographic. If he's getting it for someone, say a daughter, wouldn't he have got a ticket for a friend as well? Why would they think he's going to go? Who wants to go to a concert with their dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why did he go? Why didn't the mum go to the concert? At worst.
You know what? I did wonder.
Who even buys physical tickets anyway? That probably narrows down your suspect list considerably.
Just look for a
He's
man.
probably one of 5 people to buy a physical ticket.
If you see a guy who looks like he's the kind of person who buys physical tickets, you've got your guy.
If he looks like
Lock
a man
him down. Now,
who works with logs.
Let me make one thing clear. If he happens to blow up a fat fryer, that means nothing. If he happens to push a woman down some stairs, don't worry about it.
But if he trips a fire alarm,
that's when we're going to make sure that all the men are trapped.
we're going to trap every man. We're ready at a moment's notice to trap every man in here. And if there's a real fire, they'll all burn and we'll get the butcher.
Yeah, I mean.
So the physical ticket, the plan, the FBI taking it that seriously and then not thinking of a smarter plan and also greatly genuinely the physical ticket surely greatly reduces the amount of people, way more than 3,000 men that are going to be there. Also, how the fuck did she crush his pills without him noticing?
So here was my thinking on this, right? She was left. We were shown that she was left alone by the FBI, but to me, afterwards, it felt like an intentional ruse to get him out.
Yeah, okay.
So it felt like a plan. Although the likelihood of him going, "Yeah, okay, I'll eat the cake or the pie or whatever," is like, I mean, you're risking your life on that fact. I think, like, what if he just goes, "Nah," and then kills you?
More than anything, as well, like he literally goes in there and says, "I am so rigorous. I am impeccable at making sure these 2 lives are separate. I'm gonna go back to my house. That I've just made an elaborate escape from, and murder my wife because I'm really angry.
I'm pissed." And I'll tell you another thing, right? Fucking hell, here we go.
Take my clothes off.
Have you ever? I'm gonna get changed again.
Look how big I look.
He did look great.
He looked amazing. Sorry.
Have you ever bitten into a tablet before?
Yeah.
It's awful.
So horrible.
If I give you a pie with crushed up paracetamol on it.
Crushed up ketamine.
You might ask why the pie tastes a bit funky.
Also, how did he survive? Or like, how did he not pass out? Like they just took it like
Because he's a bear. Because he weighs about 300 pounds.
He's a giant big bear man.
And he's naked.
But he's about to pass out. They tase him. The British woman's there, obviously getting involved in the tase.
With a very weird thing about how she's like pretending to be his mum.
I just presumed he was. Do you reckon that was actually her?
I got the impression that that's what M. Night was trying to tell us.
Because she got Lady Raven. Why did she tell Lady Raven?
Let's just explain for the audience, right?
Yeah, go on.
So he has just taken the sleeping stuff that he uses to subdue his victims. It's all coming out of the woodwork now, and he stands up, clearly very drugged up, stumbling around, and what turns out was his mother, this very strange old woman figure that just kept showing up. That wasn't the very British one. Was stood at the door. It becomes clear now that it was his mother, and she gives him some sort of lecture about accepting him or whatever.
Yeah.
And as he walks over to her, it turns out that was a very lucky hallucination.
Yep.
And it was actually the FBI woman.
It was the FBI woman who's been there the whole time.
Thank God he didn't notice. Because he just put his thumbs in a guy's eyes.
And
She'd
he did
have
that
been
as well.
fucked. It took 6 tasers to take this man down.
So let's presume that this was their plan, by the way. That their plan was... We're going to get you to tranquilize him, and then we're going to tase him from here. But not before I've had my super cool profiling moment where I pretend to be his mum. That's why we need you to tranquilize him, because otherwise he'll realise I'm not his mum, and then he'll gouge my eyes out. Because what he does, by the way, in case it wasn't clear, is they set up this elaborate trap. They tase him. He just shrugs off the tasers
like 4 of them
it's
before.
no fucking problem. And then he turns around and he grabs one of them by the skull and gouges their eyes
Which
out.
is just left as well. Like, we
And
never
then
see
they're like,
any
"We got him."
No one gives a fuck
one
afterwards.
No one gives a
The
fuck.
poor guy on the floor with his eyes gouged out.
Oh my God.
I think that really the thing that drove this plot from the first minute onwards was sheer bloody luck.
Yeah.
Basically, any plan that anybody made would be successful. Yeah. apart from the FBI's first plan, which was just too fucking ridiculous.
I wouldn't have been surprised if at the end it was just the old FBI crony going, and that's why we had to plan it to make him think it was a full trap. But actually,
this was my plan.
My plan was to make sure I could pretend to be his mother because I don't like Agent Robson's eyes. Right, that's pretty much it. I mean, he escapes, or you presume he escapes. I didn't watch.
Well, he undoes his handcuffs because this man cannot be fucking contained.
He could literally have just pulled the handcuffs apart with his bare hands.
It was literally...
with his bare hands, however the spelling.
It got to the point about 4 escapes before the end where I was like, it'd be funny if they did another escape. And by the time that they were unlocking the handcuffs, I was like,
oh, come on.
Look, okay, here's my thinking. He knows it's made a profit, right? It cost 30 million. It made 46, I think, in the global box office.
Already?
Yeah.
Wow, fair play.
Fair
play.
I think it came out a little earlier in America. I think it's been out a little longer than it's been out here. But it's made a profit. No matter what, he always seems to make a profit.
Sequel.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe. Oh my God.
If it's already made 46.
I think I'd watch it as well.
I'd watch it 100%. You know what? I was just thinking then, this would have been the difference between a 6.0, which I gave, and a 6.5, was if right at the end, he gets the bike spoke, bends it, puts it in his handcuffs, can't do it, and goes, shucks. The final fuck you. After all of this, that's like it was all a dream.
I mean, to be honest though, what is his plan? Right? I know his plans always pay off, but he's undone the handcuffs, all right, somehow, right? But when they open the door, they're not just going to have like one bloke with no, like they're going to be like waiting for him with guns on the out. Like, what is his?
Does he think
He's going to punch? He's going to get changed.
He's going to get
changed.
Naked. Now he can more easily get naked. He's going to frighten them. His huge lumbering body and gigantic penis.
Oh my god!
Oh, man.
Right, well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We got some more content coming out this week. On we're doing Deadpool soon. We're doing what else have we got? We're doing Alien.
Alien, we'll do that.
Alien
one.
Romulus, and what was the other one we said we'd do?
We'll talk about Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
We'll do Blade Runner. Old classic review.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Thanks for that.
So my what if was, I just named 4 of those and just tried to and just said, let's just see if we can. I thought it would be really original and funny of me to point out what was wrong with the movie, but just pick 4 of my favorites, and try and come up with
You know what? Why don't we extend then? Because it's so similar. Why don't you go through?
You just don't do it.
Or how about this? Because we've got a few minutes.
We got to do critic score. And the spoiler review. Let's just skip it. We'd be fine. We'd be fine.
That was a lot of fun.
That was good fun. What I was more trying to say was, I've done my what if.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where I tried to come up with something. It didn't really work.
I was like, how do I make a change to this? Genuinely, I was trying to work out a change to this. I was like, all right, let me just write down all the issues I had. And then I was like, I'm just going to present this. Like, they literally, like, I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop with it all. That. And I want to just bring it back before we do critical score. I'm going to bring it right back around.
Yeah.
I was amazed by how memorable this movie was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree
I don't
with that.
think I've ever remembered 26 things about a film straight out after it.
That is true. Although, does it count if it's the things you remember are like, that is fucking ridiculous?
Maybe. Well, I didn't give it a high score, but I certainly was not bored. Like, I gave it higher than the Mad Maxes.
Yeah, it was. No, I enjoyed it. I tell you what, I think that I probably, every time I go to the cinema, I realize just how much I love going to the cinema.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely love it. And I was wondering, like, because I feel the same way. I was like, I really enjoyed this movie. I was like, would I enjoy it if it was like, oh, I've got to watch this movie this afternoon at home, and then I put it on and I was just sat there on my sofa and was like, what the fuck is going on here?
I think that because of how ridiculous it was, I would have enjoyed that at home.
Yeah.
I think that is so stupid.
It was pretty mental.
That you get ones which, like Furiosa, for instance, I quite enjoyed. At least I enjoyed the cinema experience, even though I came out of it and was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I would not have enjoyed Furiosa at home.
No.
But this, I think I would, because it's like,
yeah,
it's that you're reacting. It's making you go like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It resonates in a very strange way. I had a little take on it.
Go on.
Right. I was thinking, where is it? Here we go. I was trying to think of other movies that reminded me of.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, it's kind of like a Die Hard plot. Okay. But if the protagonist was a kind of Hannibal Lecter, Sherlock Holmes level of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
And they were the bad guy.
Yeah.
I was thinking that's kind of like that. It's like a Die Hard sort of like he's trapped in this building. He's got to figure his way around all the guards and like, but obviously one of the things that makes it quite interesting is you're following the antagonist.
Yeah, which is it was a nice like hook.
Yeah.
Like the trailer for this was very intriguing.
Yeah.
And I get you kind of Die Hard. Sherlock versus more on the Hannibal Lecter because he's got that charm and he's kind of being a bit detective-y, I guess, but more bordering on the ridiculous.
If you're just tuning in to the episode, right, you haven't heard our What If segment. One of the most important things that really needs to be clear about this movie is it's ridiculous. Like you've just come out with 25 distinct moments where like if you give it any thought whatsoever, you're like, what was he thinking?
Yeah.
So that's just one thing you want to know. It is a ridiculous film, but it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, and it is really enjoyable. We are about to do the Cinephiles where we rank things in categories.
It's not going to do
This is going to do shocking.
It's going to do bad. quick comment, third act, where it changed the perspective from being mostly, I forget his name now, the bear man.
Yeah,
the protagonist, Cooper, where it just changes perspective from him to Raven. It was like really weird. Did you notice that? It kind of like the whole focus of the first two acts is
kind of
Cooper.
The extreme close-ups, so it became
The whole plot was kind of following Cooper, and then in the third act, it just kind of starts following Raven,
which is what made the shilling of his daughter a bit more egregious.
Yeah,
he paid for it. M. Night Shyamalan. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck it. Go for it. You present your daughter to the world. We both said we enjoyed the music. I like
the music.
And to be honest, up to that point, I wasn't that offended by her acting.
Yeah.
But then when you're like, all right, now we're going to front and center, she's the hero.
It didn't hold up.
It was like quite painfully obvious that she was a considerable cut below the others in terms of the acting, and not just because of the bad dialogue.
Yeah.
It was like it was very jarring.
It was not good.
But yeah, you know what? It was a film, wasn't it? It was some film.
Have I got any other comments to make? Don't think so. Yeah, if you've just tuned in as well, a couple of the scores, if you're interested. So budget 30 million, box off 47 million worldwide. IMDb. Want to take a guess?
I saw this. It was about 6.2 when I last checked.
bang on, 6.2. Rotten Tomatoes.
That affects your score, by the way.
No, it didn't. No. I just think that's pretty damn accurate. Who do you reckon rated it higher, audience or critic on Rotten Tomatoes?
Audience.
Yeah,
surely.
65% audience, 55% critic.
Okay,
which is surprisingly good. Letterboxd 2.9 out of 5. So I ain't got a great frame of reference for that, but my understanding is he's kind of in line with the rest of the scores. Kind of, in
line with our scores of like, you know what? We've seen films
it's hard
that we've
to
enjoyed
hate.
less. Yeah, we've seen a lot of films we've enjoyed less.
It gives you so many reasons to hate it.
You know, if
and
films,
it's impossible to.
Yeah, if the purpose of a film is to have something to talk about, this is greater than any I've seen for a long time.
It was fun. It was very fun, and I think that Shyamalan, he really deserves the recognition of like, you are bold. Like, you are just a bold artist. You just do whatever you want. I like it. I respect it. I just got to say, like, that. I feel like he's got extra time from me for that.
I like that he had a meteoric rise, and then he started releasing films that were panned.
Yep.
And then he had a good comeback with Split and the second one, the third one in that trilogy that I've forgotten. And so I now think people are just seeing him like the kooky uncle of film. They're like, oh, Shyamalan's doing another thing where he's got his daughter in it, and Josh Hartnett, who no one's seen for ages, but they all remember how big and bear-like he is.
He was in Oppenheimer.
Was he?
Yes, he was.
Okay, fair enough. Well, you know what? Why don't we give us a raise?
Yeah. Okay. So, do you want to? Oh, actually, just remind me of your score: 6.0, and I was 6.2. So plot. It's one of those, right? It's driving force versus many issues with it.
You know what we used to say in plot is, if it was unique, that gave it something. Because other than that, for me, it's a 2.
Yeah, I think that whole assessment is correct. I think it does deserve a boost because we enjoyed it, but like, we've said it was enjoyable. We said it's memorable, but it couldn't have been without that very premise. Like, it was a fun premise.
Memorable, and also it's almost memorable for how bad it was and it making no sense. So I'm thinking I would be happy with a 4.
Okay, we'll give it a 4. I think that seems fair. Character.
Right, so characters...
It didn't do anything to flesh any of them out, really. I didn't really understand. There wasn't, like, explain to me why he was a crazy murderer.
Oh, yeah, like the mum thing was so shoehorned.
He's just crazy.
It's just like, it's something to do with his mum.
Yeah.
Oh, characters. Like, I mean, the FBI informant was
the profiler.
The profiler was like so bizarre.
A very bad caricature. Like a very not well put together
she's
character.
Almost omniscient.
But also useless.
Useless. Yeah. The obviously Lady Raven was fine as a character. Although, here's another thing actually, which kind of comes into the character is just the complete lack of understanding about their motivations.
Yeah.
What the purpose
The
is.
decision making is part of what makes a character.
Yeah.
And the decision making, apart from for Cooper, whose decision making was, it'll definitely work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which, okay, fine. Like Raven deciding to do what she, go to the house.
What did you say the name of the vendor was? Jamie.
His decision to...
What a ridiculous character. Having someone purely so that... He was there to tell him about the trap.
Yeah.
Which made no sense to have a character that did that. That was one of the real issues.
Oh, God. What are we going to do this then?
Which other character? Kid Cudi's character and the other guy who just winked at her at the end. Why are they there?
That was Kid Cudi's character.
No, there was Kid Cudi's character.
Who did the weird wink smile thing. Do you remember that?
Yeah. He did the one who he looked back and fancied Josh Hartnett's character.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then there was the other guy.
Oh, I do know who you mean.
He was brought on, he must have just been one of M. Night's mates as well, surely.
God,
literally there for no reason.
Let's get that moving then. What do you reckon?
I liked the daughter. Just
as
generally.
A character.
as a character and a performance.
She was
good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I guess her being there and kind of having some resolution with her friends.
Oh,
was an
I really liked
point.
that. When she got to go on stage and then her mate was really pissed off about it. I was like, get in.
Yeah.
Ah,
yeah, I think that was one of the
she got fleshed out more as a character than Cooper did.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She got this whole backstory about, how she got these problems with her friends at school.
Yeah, it was really, it was
I know,
nice.
it's I understand this person.
Nice. And then you got the redemption.
And then there was redemption.
And then she also not forgave her dad, but she
a hug.
She didn't do the classic...
I hate you. I can't stand.
I quite liked that as well.
She was
good.
By far the best part of this movie.
I'd say she bumps up to a 3.
All right. Okay. Well, it's about to get shafted because we're on to dialogue.
Yeah. So here's what we're thinking then. How bad is a 1?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, because I guess 1 means it couldn't get worse, I guess, right? You can't get lower than 1.
And I think that it wasn't...
Can you? Like a 0.1?
I think we go 1s are... I don't...
Yeah, well, we're in whole numbers, actually, so...
Yeah, so unless we did 0, though.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, surely. I think it could have been worse.
All right, 2 then?
I think 2. Let's give it a 2.
And just, if you're listening, specifically, it is because... the way that the characters shared information with each other was very, very reminiscent of an NPC in a video game.
Yeah.
They would just... If he managed to meet the right character and strike up a conversation with them, they would then present him with, perfectly laid out information.
Yeah. It was bizarre.
In the strangest fucking way. If he picked up a radio, then the British woman, whose accent was most recognizable, would perfectly lay out an extra little bit of information for him. And it was just, that was why the dialogue was so...
And it would even happen
bad.
In games where he would go near the fire alarm.
Yeah.
And then just as he's approaching, the voice would come on the tannoy and be like,
there is a reason
catch him if he touches that fire alarm. And then he'd go back, and then maybe if he came again, because if he sets off a fire alarm, that means he's panicking.
This is our plan. And it's like, oh my God.
And bizarrely, you said that you heard someone else say that as well.
I have,
I thought that completely separate to what you've said. And I forgot about it until you mentioned it earlier in the episode. And genuinely, I felt the exact same thing. It was crazy.
It was
a 2 and deserved 2.
Yeah. It literally, we're giving it a 2 because it could be worse somehow, probably.
Yeah, because at least it served a purpose, I guess. It did...
push the plot forward.
Yeah,
it wasn't just pointless dialogue.
Some of it was.
Yes, yeah.
But it's not all of it.
Not all of it.
I think 1 needs to be, for me...
How do you get that one?
Think of it...
You just have 90 minutes of people saying random shit.
Okay, think of it like this. A 10 is the great in that... not the great, but one of the greats in that category.
Yeah.
This was terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm not comfortable... I mean, we need to watch more really bad films.
We do
watch a lot of good films.
Yeah.
But I'm still not comfortable until I've watched more and saying this is one of the worst written dialogues in film.
Yeah.
You know, it's just exceptionally bad.
Okay. Performance.
2.
No.
I like to be
because I mean, the person who had the most screen time, Josh Hartnett, I'm going to stand by, was good.
I thought he was like
7.5 for me.
okay, I would have him in kind of like the 6.5
Really?
range because he was fine,
Yeah.
but he did have a really interesting, like, it's an interesting part to play, and I felt like some of his choices, like specifically when they did the close-ups of him changing from being like smiley and having his mask on to no one's looking and now I can be all sinister and like creepy,
Yeah.
was very much like a GCSE A level like college level drama student would do the exact same thing. Like,
but what I would say is on the flip side of that, he had some of the worst dialogue in history to work with, and it was also the more that we rate, the more I realize how rare it is to find roles which actually need range. Like, he actually had to be good dad, and then he actually had to be crazy, and then he actually I just feel like I enjoyed watching him do all those different roles.
for sure. And to be fair, you can't like act that charming. You just have to be like, naturally he's such a presence.
Yeah.
Not just because he's a big bear man, but like he just is quite magnetic.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably in the 7 range there.
For him specifically. And then his daughter, who had a little bit of time,
7, maybe
she was
8.
good. Yeah.
Just for being a kid doing well.
Raven, not good.
Raven, no, like really bad.
Tell you who was quite good, M. Night. When he had his cameo. Yeah. I was like, look, the only director cameo I've seen, right, is the Tarantino ones.
Oh yeah.
So for me, when I see the director go on and not just be like the worst,
Oh, okay.
like, I was like, you know what? I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, maybe I couldn't see it like that because I was just like, what's he doing? Why is he there? And why is he saying,
My daughter's
actually,
awesome.
she is really talented? It was almost like he directly was trying to tell the audience that I know what you're thinking,
Almost.
but actually, she is really talented.
I'll be listening to her songs.
Well, it's obviously not a 7. I would say not a 6. You know what? I feel sorry for him because he maybe had the worst dialogue in the whole thing, but Jonathan Langdon, the vendor, Jamie. Like, it just was bad.
It was, I tell you what, is when they do, it's amazing how often they do comic relief in a film really badly.
Oh yeah,
I hate it.
From a mile off, you knew that if there was any comedy in this, like from the first few lines, you're like, they'll have a character in this who will be insufferable.
Yeah,
and he didn't have much to work with. But 5.
Yeah, okay.
Let's give it a 5. A couple of all right ones.
Visuals, 6 or 7 for me.
Yeah. I mean, pretty standard.
Better than Bang in the Middle, or worse than Bang in the Middle?
Some tenseness. I mean, he's obviously knows his stuff as well, doesn't he? And he's done very well. He can build suspense. Like the mum scene at the end. Yeah. Sorry, M. Night. The mum scene at the end.
Yeah.
Was, I thought it was the only bit which was like, oh, that's a bit unsettling.
Visually,
yeah, just like her in the doorway,
right? Okay,
off,
yeah.
Just visually, and some of the scenes, obviously, the extreme close-ups, and then whenever they kind of present the police and how they were going about finding people,
yeah.
And like kind of the grates as they came up. There was all that patterning of like the black and white and the red grating in the trailer and also sometimes in the scene.
Cool, like visual consistency.
7?
The cinematography was pretty good. I quite like it. Wasn't June. What a beautiful film that is. Okay, I'm happy with 7. Sound.
Good.
Come on, Raven.
I liked her songs.
I wonder how her career's doing after that.
I mean, it can't have done, apart from her acting career, it can't have done
no one's gonna
hardly.
No one's gonna be Well, I mean, she'll probably get plenty more roles, but not from any film other than her dad's.
I was pleasantly surprised. I was watching it with Rachel and I was like, do you like these songs? And she was like, no, why don't I like them? And I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I hate these. I hate these. That's fine. I wrote in my book, like, these songs rock.
These songs are really cool.
These are great.
I haven't re-listened to it yet because we watched it quite recently, but that piano song at the end,
I agree.
I remember specifically being like, I like this. So... Easy 8 is great.
No.
Now, the thing is...
No. But it was integrated into the movie.
Well, I think it's at least
kind
a
of
7,
cool.
then.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're hard no,
I reckon it was a 7.3. You know,
okay.
I reckon it was.
7,
I think it's going to land on the 7. Impact.
Right. So this is the first modern film we've done in this.
Yeah, we can go off of the figures that I brought. So 6.2 IMDb, 55% critic score, 65% audience score, and 2.9 on Letterboxd, 47 million box office, 30 million budget.
I think
so. Not gonna be like a film that people remember.
No, but it's got to be. It's generated a bit of buzz when films. I think for modern films, you got to think of it as like your Barbenheimer are your 10s.
Yeah.
Maybe 9s, 9 or 10, let's say, for impact.
Yeah.
Then you've got the majority of all movies, which may be in the 5 to 6 sort of range, where they're coming out, not making a splash.
No one cares.
Only real film goers maybe watching them.
Losing money.
You've probably got some that have a higher average, like your comic book films, ones that make money. And then you got ones like this, which kind of sleeper hit. It reached us. We wanted to do this because I was like, hey, you know what? This looks quite good. The trailers look good.
Yeah.
And I would say that if it's in that sleeper hit range, it made money.
So what do you reckon? I like that breakdown.
Yeah.
So does that put it 7? Is that what you're thinking? Or
I'm
maybe
thinking a 7.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said.
Cool
and I think 7 is where that lands. So
what are we talking here?
Trap 2024, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Josh Hartnett, has now been ranked out of 10 in every category. Without further ado, the scores we have given Trap are Fred's Enjoyment, 6.0 out of 10, Jambo's Enjoyment, 6.2 out of 10, Plot, 4, Character, 3, Dialogue, 2, Performance, 5, Visual, 7, Sound, 7, Impact, 7, giving it an average score of 5.24 out of 10, which puts it 2 from the bottom. 2 from the bottom. It's in the bottom 5 percentile. This is one of... Okay, closing statement. It's a lot of fun. But it is so bad.
It's infuriatingly bad.
Especially the writing.
But yeah, infuriating. And when I say infuriatingly bad, it's like, this is enjoyably bad. That's a way to describe it. Enjoyably bad.
We both enjoyed it.
Quite more than we'd care to admit.
But it was an absolute mess of a film.
It was a car crash, and I'll say on the files, like it's near the bottom, but you know,
we've done some great.
We'll get ones. There will be ones that get a lot lower than this, and that'll be purely on how boring they are.
Yeah.
In almost every metric that we measure how good a film is, or we try to objectively, it doesn't do well. Apart from our enjoyment scores,
which still didn't do that well.
But we gave it low enjoyment scores purely like that film was so...
It was unforgivable.
You can't put that film above Full Metal Jacket.
No.
Even though maybe I enjoyed it more than Full Metal Jacket.
Oh God, I'm going to cut that. Right. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers, Dave. Cheers, Rachel.